20%. No droids, no bounty hunters, no Raylos, no Ray nobody. Any of that garbage gets chased out of here. We all know that. They have to live with it. If they're morons and they don't get to hang out with us, because we are Star Wars fans, not SJWs. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit about something that I discovered today. And if the story group thinks they've been successful, I beg to differ, sir. I beg to differ. Here's the deal. I'm being sniffed by a dog. Will you stop that, you little punk? I went to Ollies, which if you're not, hey Dave, if you're not a, God, how do I explain this? If you're not from the United States, Ollies is a discount store. And what they do is they buy tons of stuff from stores like Target, Walmart, obviously Barnes and Noble, and maybe even from the warehouses, wherever, maybe Amazon, because they have a huge book section, and sometimes you get lucky. Yeah, Ollie's good stuff, cheap. So I was going to Hobby Lobby because it was 100 degrees today. So I thought, I want to go and pretend it's fall. And they're starting to put all their fall stuff out. And they're starting to even put Christmas stuff out. And I'm like, morning! And dance. Anyway, come here, buddy. So I walk in. Walk over to the books, and I don't see anything in the kids section yet. Walk around another section, and then I see a Rose Tico novel. And do you remember? And all right, could you guys hit the like button, please? Thank you. Really appreciate it. It helps the algorithm. Trust me. Then I see. Do you remember Jason Fry? Do you remember the guy who? Hey Bill, do you remember the guy who wrote the TLJ, the novel? My review of that novel got 14,000 views. And then I started rapidly declining because I think they were trying to hide me in the algorithm, and they've done a pretty good job. Anyway, his Han Solo novel. I am going to do a video where I show what I found. And there are books about putting together the ships. You can put, the Millennium Falcon, not the Millennium Falcon we want. Rey's Millennium Falcon. Didn't say it, but it's got that stupid rectangular sensor dish on it. And Kyle runs, what's that shit? I don't want that shit. So far. And that was just in the book section. Now, you can bet your sweet bippy that High Republic is going to show up. These books, all right, and the solo book is probably published in 2018, 2019. The Tico book is probably published 2018 or 2019, but they're there. These are books that couldn't sell, and there were a lot of solo books. Okay. Let's go further. What else did Mommy find? Oh boy. I walk and they have a great big section of comic books. It's cool. I know a lot of you like that stuff, and if it's actually something I want to read, I might actually get it. And I haven't seen anything I want to read in the last 10 years, except for Cyberfrog and some of Ethan Van Sciver's buddies. And I'm not even a comic book reader. I just believe in supporting independent artists. So, and I look. Do you guys remember the Star Wars comic on Han Solo? Do you remember that? Where Leia punches him, and you get that Sana. She was a character from the EU, and they fucking ruined her. And trust me, the High Republic is ruining her more. Because Justina Ireland, of course, because she's black and hates white women and hates white men, had to abuse Sana Send to, or whatever her name was, from the EU. To give you an overview of her actual real character, in canon. She was a girl, basically, to put it bluntly, was a term from Sex and the City, but it's one that we use in college and in DC. She was a fuck buddy. Okay, she and Han were friends. They used to race across the mall together, and they fooled around, but they weren't. He wasn't serious. Till they were racing the Maw, and her ship got caught in the gravity well of one of the big, nasty black holes, and she was in trouble. He gets her out of it, and she decides they should be married, which puts Han into the Falcon with Chewie racing across the galaxy just as fast as he can go to the corporate sector, where he meets another girl named Jessa, whose father is a brilliant mechanic who basically took the Falcon and did some stuff to it, and there we go. And did some illegal things to make the Falcon really, really, really fast. And Han pulled off some capers there and did a bunch of other stuff, and then he came back after a year. Sana wasn't pleased with him, but life was back to normal. Anyway, back to Narshada, because basically that Narshada was his home base. He had an apartment there. He and Chewie had together, and that was like, there was kind of a family atmosphere going around with all the smugglers that he knew. And anyway, but this Sana is just a bitch. She's a cunt. She's not cool. There's nothing cool about her. And, the story. She and Han do a fake marriage so they can scam somebody. The people who wrote this don't understand anything about how those characters all worked. They were smugglers first. Okay? And they don't understand the way a Western works. What are you doing? Whatever it is, you can... What are you eating? Kojak. He might end up having to go into his house. I just got home, so... anyway, and it's obvious. So, that comic book was there. And in the second... Alright, when you open up the inside cover and you look at it, everybody who worked on this piece of shit is listed proudly. And, it's Pablo, and I've got that. I got a picture of that. There were, let's see, there were like 3 other comic books. There were tons. Like, it was like some store or something just said, we can't sell these. We can't sell these. Please, buy them from us for a discount. They were on sale for $3. What does this mean? If you're gonna write, now you think somebody like me would want a Han Solo comic book, and if it was good, I would. But I didn't want that. I opened it up. Oh yeah, it is. I opened it up. I looked at it. I was insulted immediately. My intelligence was insulted. The last page is Leia's accusing him of being a liar about, he decided to get into a race, and, it's just, they basically want to paint him as a total fucking crudball and malign the character. And when you look at the way George wrote him, the way Harrison Ford played him, regardless of what he thinks of the character, the way A.C. Crispin and Brian Daley wrote Han, completely different person. If there was, when you think about his time with the Rebellion before The Empire Strikes Back, he wouldn't have done that. In fact, no one ever notices this. But he's out there, and it wasn't a blue jacket, it was a brown one. And when you look at The Empire Strikes Back and you really look at the jacket, it is brown. It looks blue, but when you really take a good hard look at the jacket he's wearing in Empire, and on Hoth, it is a brown jacket, which is why the figures are now brown. You have a blue one, I have a blue one, and I have a brown one. I have actually two brown ones, I think. two brown half Han Solos. Anyway, all right, just a second. Okay, you're bored. You're not eating that. Get in your house. Get in your house. House. Go. No, I am not fat. This shit just makes me look fat. Anyway, I want to know more about those adventures. There's a lack of seriousness in the character that really is, well, Dave, he's about 28 inches tall, and he weighs over 100 pounds. He's going to be about 30 inches when he's finally done growing, and he's probably going to weigh 130. He's a monster. He's an absolute, and he's a shit too. Anyway, there's a lack of seriousness in the writing, and I noticed it. I didn't open up the Jason Fry novel. Just the picture of Alden Ehrenreich on the cover just was enough to make me go. I did take a picture of it. And, oh yeah, there is Dave. I mean, he's a big boy. And it's like, this is a troll. Honestly, I'm gonna say this. Every fucking thing, and I looked. Oh, I went to when you get here to the U.S. General Katarn, you have to have your girl take you to Ollies if there's one in her area. It is basically a company that does buyouts. They buy out Target, Walmart. I wouldn't doubt they buy out Amazon. They probably even go to Hasbro at times and say, if you can't sell it, let us try for a discount. They have a book section, and it was filled with Star Wars novels, like from the recent era, from about 2018 till now. From about 2018, 2019, and comic books, including the Han Solo one, which is what I'm talking about. The novels were about $3.99 a piece, and the books, the comics were about $3 a piece. And that's the thing, Lonely Seth. Some collector will look at that and say, if I buy all of those and just keep them, someday somebody will want to read them. I look at that and say, I have a fire pit. If someone buys that for me, it's going in the fucking fire pit. I don't care. No, fuck no. And the reason is this. I will not have that garbage taint my collection, my bookshelves, or go anywhere near my stuff. Okay? That's it. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, so when you're looking at this, and I looked at another one, and it was an adventure with Luke and Han and Leia. And again, these people don't know how to write these characters. They've got Leia being a real bitch to Han all the time. Like, she's stuck on bitch, period. And as a woman, I find that really insulting. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I really can't be bothered to even hang out with someone if I feel if I feel so angry at someone that I have to be a constant bitch to them, I don't want to be around them. Because that hurts me, all right? They got Luke and all the, and it's just bad. It's bad writing. I didn't look at the other one because it was up way high, but it's all stuff that takes place between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. And when I'm looking at it, it's like it doesn't even and keep the continuity of the movies. It doesn't. Um, you know how Han has that kind of arrogant kind of thing about him? They turn that into a fucking thing. Like every time he opens up his mouth. It's like, I don't think the guy was in that line of thinking and mode 24/7, you shitty writers. But I gotta tell you, I'm gonna do some research because I took a picture of the plate where they have who worked on the novel, and I'm gonna explore Twitter to see where these people line up politically, because I think the woman who wrote this, I think the person who wrote the Solo comic book is a woman, and not a white woman. In fact, they list the story group as Rain Roberts, Matt Martin, Leland Shee, Pablo Hidalgo, and somebody else. And I don't think one of those people is a white straight male. Matt Martin's gay. And if you can't tell by his picture, then your gaydar doesn't work, because I have to put the flames out. Okay, every time I look at him, there isn't a white straight woman working on the story group either. So it's very, you know where they're coming from. Again, you've got people so embroiled in where they stick their own dicks, or worried about where somebody else does, and worried about skin color, that they can't write decent characters. And not one of these people can write a normal white male. They can't. You could show them the Searchers, and I remember once I was trolling Matt Martin, and he was asking out loud, I want to show, and you guys are going to love this. I think it was Lawrence of Arabia on like a movie screen with you know how you look on Trulia and you see these big expensive houses, and they've got these screens, and you got this thing overhead. That's a movie screen. That's a movie theater. And he wanted something like that. And I'm like, just get the Blu-ray. I mean, you guys are in San Francisco. You'll be able to see it on the big screen somewhere, sometime soon. But he couldn't find it. He couldn't find a university that had a copy of it, which I'm like, whatever. I gave up helping him because he's a dick. And I was trying to troll him too. I was trying to figure out what the fuck he was doing. So I'm like, they don't know how to write this kind of thing. They don't know anything about Westerns, which if you're writing a Han Solo novel, I would say you better be up to date on the Searchers, on McClintock and Tombstone, Open Spaces, which is a Robert Duvall, Kevin Costner film, Lonesome Dove, and High Noon, Gary Cooper and Grace Kelly, Winchester 76, which I think, yeah, Jimmy Stewart. Oh, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. John Wayne, Lee Marvin, Jimmy Stewart. Okay, and that was a John Ford. That was a John Ford classic. It's one of the greatest Westerns ever made. And of course, The Searchers. These guys have never seen this. I mean, Rain Roberts is a black woman. I can't imagine making her sit down and watch The Searchers. Just sit back and go, oh, she would lose her shit. She would actually fucking lose her shit. Pablo would too. All right? Because they wouldn't be able to just watch the movie for the movie. They would be interpreting it through their fucking political bullshit. Okay? So you got them writing a Han Solo comic book. And Luke and Leia are part of this. And them not understanding how you write a character like that. And you suddenly realize the only reason why they were allowed near this book, the writers were chosen, the artists, and the artists, they kept away from Alden Ehrenreich because I would have lost my shit. Um, the artists did a decent job, but the writing stinks. It just stinks. It's just it is such a fuck you to the character and the fans and the genre and George Lucas, because he really is a fan of the Western genre. It was really funny looking at the other ones, the one with all three of them in. Luke really doesn't, I mean, he's doing stuff, but he really doesn't make an impression, which is what they want, okay? He's fighting a sand person, and it's just bad writing. It's just, again, you can't look at Star Wars through a political lens. You gotta look at it through the monomyth, the hero's journey, the mythology, and I've talked about that before. And not just Greco-Roman, Arthurian, Nordic, Far Eastern stuff, but Western, the stories of the Old West. Okay, and you got to remember, those people: Wyatt Earp, Bat Masterson, Billy the Kid, Pat Garrett, Wild Bill Hickok, Bill Longley, Doc Holliday. All those guys were real. Okay, and so you can't. I mean, and when George Lucas was thinking this up, there were people still alive that could tell you what Wyatt Earp was really like, because he didn't die till 1929? John Wayne knew him. John Wayne was a young, aspiring actor. He played football, I think, for USC till he got hurt. Was working as he basically moved sets around and helped build sets on silent sound stages for different productions. And he met John Ford and knew Wyatt Earp. That walk that John Wayne had, that swagger, Wyatt Earp taught him that. Okay, so really, those gunfighters, there isn't a whole lot of time between Star Wars and what they call the range wars. Doc Holliday and all the rest of those guys. So it's fresh in the mind, and it is the introduction. It is the introduction of that changed a piece of science fiction, and based on Campbell's work, into something beyond just this story, because it gave people something they'd recognize, that they would recognize as their own, and people all over the world would watch westerns. Okay, I mean everywhere. So and that's why it's very important to be familiar with the genre, even if you're not a Star Wars fan, and these people aren't. They're not. It's very important in the genre to be familiar with those things, because you're not going to write a decent story without the knowledge and without that how it works. Like when I wrote my fan fiction, I thought of Dodge City, Kansas. I thought of Tombstone, Arizona. I thought of Miss Kitty's Saloon, okay, and Gunsmoke. I thought of the things that I saw as a little girl, in Tombstone. My mom took me there. And you can still go and see where the OK Corral was. I thought about that, but you can't write these parts of Star Wars without knowing about that stuff, because that's where the inspiration came from in the first place. So there's that part, and then there's the shitting on the characters. I mean, but one of the funniest things was, like I said, Jason Fry, and let's talk about him. He was the novelist that Rian Johnson chose to write Last Jedi. He was just so proud of it. I just can't believe it. And a shout out to Dave Pensack, because he was the one that sent me the book. And I got it, I looked at it at Target. I looked at it